are
Hello.
live. Welcome to StarTrekking. We are here. We are live. We are uh yeah, I guess we're live. I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. I am Nicole. I am across the city from Green.
Yeah, so I'm over on the West End.
I'm in the East
Um,
End. We're going to fight and we're going to rumble real soon. I'm sure we're going to
East
meet in the
versus
middle.
West.
Yeah, we're going to
East.
meet at Young and Bloor Station and totally throw down. That's how it goes.
I don't know. I mean, you guys have Greektown, so I'm not sure. Like we have the Junction, but I don't know. I don't know how much Junction will stand against Greektown.
Greektown's pretty good. Yeah, I mean it's hard to beat cheap souvlaki. I mean it's not that cheap anymore to be honest, but it's hard to beat. I don't know. Taste of the Danforth. The last time actually we went, my dad was like not cool with it because it was so freaking busy that
Mm.
it was kind of ridiculous. So yeah, it's a little crowded now. It's a little crowded, but yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I enjoy some grilled cheese, some
we have High
flambe
Park, but
cheese.
we have High Park, so we get the blossom, the Cherry Blossom Festival. So
Yeah, I used to live out there. Gary and I lived out there for a while. I've lived all over the city, mostly in the West End. So living out in the East End is a little weird. We had
I
some friends
I,
who
I
lived out
honestly
in Main
barely
Station, and we thought it was like the end of the world,
the
man.
the west end of the city. I know like the back of my hand. I almost never venture to the other side of DVP. It's very
No,
rare.
I used to actually be like, I will live nowhere further than uh Bloor in the north, the DVP in the east, and Dufferin in the west, and of course the lake in the south. That was my
Oh,
boundaries.
yes, Blur. Like everything supposed to Blur is so expensive though.
Oh, I
Like
know, but
Blur
that
is
was like back in the like remember like in the late 90s, early 2000s,
no. I would just
right?
live in Saskatchewan, or I would either would have been like I didn't move to Barrie until, or so I didn't move to Toronto until 11 years ago, 12 years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I moved here. I moved here shoot like end of the 90s. So, I was not paying a lot in rent and I was living with
Mm,
people. So, I was living at Dufferin and Dundas
yeah,
for a long time before
like
it was anywhere near a nice place to live, let me tell you.
2005, I moved to Oakville.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah.
The college.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Entertaining going back.
Yeah.
Since I'm starting to get back into art, go finish my art education. But I don't know if I have the money to be off work for that long, and on top of paying tuition, and Sheridan's not a cheap school.
No, there's some part-time stuff. I mean, there's also
Like,
OSAP. OSAP, you can get some good grants from that.
yeah, but Sheridan's still like $9,000 a semester. I got 3 semesters left.
Yeah, yeah. No, still you can get a lot of grants between like various kind of
Yeah,
things, like most of your OSAP really, and you can turn down the loan portions. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things. So if they're like, here's how much in grant, here's how much in a loan, you can go, I don't want the
yeah.
loan. So
Well, also like the Medicine Nations will help me out too.
yeah, exactly. So I
So
mean, between those things, you might be able to like swing it.
yeah,
And a
it's
lot
just
of people do part time now. A lot of people do full
Sheridan.
time at work. You know.
Sheridan's such an intense school. You can't have a job with it.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy how intense Sheridan was.
Yeah, I don't know how I know people who are working and doing MA stuff, and I don't know how they do it. Like I can. I'm just tired
Yeah,
all the time, my friend. And I mean, I'm old, so I mean that's probably
yeah.
part of
You're. I mean, I'm old and you're older than I am, so yeah.
it.
Ugh,
And yeah, I mean, it's just exhausting. I don't understand it, but I
dude,
got in a grant.
that capitalist grind, capitalist grind, right? You just gotta
Yeah,
fucking just grinds away at you.
yeah. That's
Uh,
why I got in the grant application because I was like, well, money is good. So for next year, so hopefully that'll work out and I can study D&D full time.
Speaking of since we're talking about D&D and money and capitalism,
Mm.
I was talking about this on Twitter. This is an amazing role playing game.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called Cyborg. It's a spin-off of Morkborg.
Oh, cool.
So Morkborg is like
good stuff about that. Yeah.
Doom punk fantasy. So about like living in a world that is ending.
Mm-hmm.
And you and this is like the sequel to it. It's like a far cyberpunk future. So it's not like most cyberpunk plays in the middle to recent like capitalist dystopia. This is like the cyberpunk capitalist dystopia is the far future and collapsing.
Oh, interesting.
And like
cool.
capitalism has become like unsustainable, like truly unsustainable. I mean, capitalism is unsustainable, but like unsustainable systems can still last a long time. And so this is like the last gasps of capitalism, and it's a bad time for everybody.
Necropolitics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds cool. Actually, I was just to give a shout out to something too. I was at for part of today and part of yesterday the Indiecade Playable Theater Symposium, which was pretty cool. It was about live action theater, VR theater, playable theater, various sorts of things that are interactive, sorts of things like that. People talking about the work that they do in terms of those, sorts of areas, which is great. Some people talking about escape rooms today and VR and interactive theater online, which was super, super cool. People were talking about doing playable theater for cultural kind of discussing cultural issues or cultural sort of historical issues. So some of the sort of work that Moira Turkington, a friend of mine, does, where taking historical impacts and other things and playing people through them. In turn, these two people were talking about one, the Japanese occupation in the Philippines, which I think is fascinating, and I would really love to do that. They run that in the Philippines with both tourists and locals, which I thought was really interesting. I would love to see people's reaction.
Who portrays the Japanese in this case? I feel really weird, like bringing tourists into play locals as they are occupied by the Japanese. I can see the appeal to that. I would feel really weird about like giving a tourist the oppressor role.
Yeah, they will. I think he talked about. I think if someone plays the one role, they can come back and play the other. Oh, okay. So I think like I definitely think like a tourist is like playing, someone who was colonized first, but if you want to come back and play the other side, he encourages that to like understand like both sides of the situation, and he's Filipino, obviously.
I would love to see one of those, not about the Japanese occupation, but the Boxer Rebellion, when America occupied Philippines, because that is a part of history that a lot of people forget about.
Yeah, no, and that's what reminded me of Moira's work, and I thought was very interesting doing it about psychiatric sort of situations also in the US, which was the other person's work, is sort of these forgotten things that we really don't remember, or forgotten pieces of resistance, which is something that Mo does a lot, is like areas of resistance or areas of difference where people were allowed to live differently that we've kind of forgotten about too, which is kind of great, I think, because I think a lot of the time, one thing I'm talking a lot about in one of my classes, the Black, Indigenous, post-colonial STS theory, is like we talk about this in a lot of theory.
What does the STS?
Oh, sorry, science technology studies. And technology studies. That's my major. And it's not science and technology. It is the study of science and technology. It's just so no one thinks I'm super smart or anything. But I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about Star Trek, which is, basically like filtering science and technology through the lens of like media, popular media. So I mean, like us discussing that is for like science and technology study scholars, basically.
Yeah.
So
what we do is media analysis. So
yeah, within a science and technology studies sort of area lens, post-colonial in a sense, and indigenous informed. So I mean, you're doing academic work. There you go. But like a lot of the things we talk about, or one of the things there is that like a lot of the time historically people focus on like all of the bad shit that happens to people that are marginalized, and don't really focus on histories of resistance and histories of remaining and you know, that sense of like, you know, holding up under oppression even though there is oppression, and like being able to like maintain your culture, like, and your lives and your all of those things even though like bad shit is happening, or you know, the good things amongst the bad, like, because you know it's too often that people focus on just like, oh, this is a history of like pain and misery and not of resistance and survival, right?
Yeah. So like, but also like, so when you do get people who focus on them, like I was talking to a fellow Metsi anarchist, Chelsea Vowell, about this, and we were talking about like Fight Back and sort of our issues with Fight Back. And I don't want to turn this into an IWW versus Fight Back thing, even though we are two orgs with rivalries, but although like Chelsea's not in either group. I'm theoretically in the IWW, but I have not paid my dues in a very long time. So I think there comes a point where I have to stop referring to myself as a wobbly. Fight Back has a lot of, at least apparently in Edmonton, I haven't found this so much with Toronto, but apparently in Edmonton, like Fight Back has like this big fetishization of Metsi resistance. And like, so even when these things aren't forgotten about, they can like become like weirdly fetishized by settlers. So and I think like that can be problematic because like, yes, it's a history, and yes, like we're proud of our history. Like I'm proud that my ancestors like stood up the Hudson Bay Company and like fucking showed up at like court with 400 rifles when they were like trying to screw us over. Like I'm proud of all that, but like it shouldn't be fetishized. It should be examined in context.
I think that's another thing, and we'll get back to Star Trek in a second. I think that's the other thing too.
You can see like a Lego diagram going of like a cityscape.
Yeah.
And a bunch of leftover parts. So I made. You probably can't see them because it's lighting my room. I made native Doctor Strange.
Awesome, I love it. But I mean, that's another thing that we were talking about too. Is like, I have someone in my cohort from Colombia who often talks about like people talk about resistance, and he's like, you know, for resistance, a lot of people, it's like, you know, resistance is not an easy thing because it means literally like here we're like, oh yeah, you know, you can protest or whatever, but protesting is literally life or death for so many people in the world.
Yeah.
And we don't think a lot about that. And so what we talk about a lot is also resistance not just being like, I'm going to go protest, or I'm going to do this huge organized thing in public with banners, or I'm going to go storm the Capitol. Resistance is also, you know, everyday things like not paying your rent or hacking your electricity meter, or, you know, all of these things, right? Like
rent strikes and like absolutely like resistance.
Absolutely. Resistance is survival for some people. Yeah. Like just living is resistance for some people. So you got to think about it in small everyday things too, right?
Right. So. Like, yeah, when you exist in a system that wants you dead, just living is a form of resistance. Now I don't consider myself in the current status of Metsi to necessarily be in that position right now. If you look at like the Metsi in the 1930s, when like we were super dispossessed, we weren't allowed to own property. Like, yeah, just living was absolutely just a form of resistance.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, and I mean, it depends. Like,
I've been thoroughly recuperated by the system. Like, I work a capitalist job. I I do all of this. Like that's just how it goes.
Mm,
But yeah, like but also like you gotta survive, right? Like capitalism is a we're starting to get into like my other podcast,
mm,
my other stream. But capitalism is a fundamentally extortative system,
yeah,
right? So like so there's this concept of a moral injury, like and so like capitalism forces us to accrue moral injuries just to survive.
yep.
um like I don't like doing my job, I don't like working at my hardware store. And but it's not but the problem isn't also just I don't like it. I actually don't mind the day-to-day work of it. um i hate I hate managing
Don't
it, but
you don't
managing
like
the
being
enemy.
forced to do it. It's the
Yeah,
fact that you have to do it,
well, and
right?
it's the alienation, right? So
Yeah,
it's I don't even necessarily mind having to do it if I had agency.
yeah.
Like so like if because like every even in an anarchist society, everyone's going to need a role to play. We're all going to need to do a thing. And that like it won't be jobs as we know them now, but there'll be a thing. Like everyone will have because expertise is still a thing. Like so we'll still have things we have to do and things will still have to get done. But they won't be jobs as we know them now because people will have agency over those. So the issue with like my job is that I don't have agency over my actions. So like if I'm processing a return and I know that the vendor deal doesn't this is an actual event that happened last week. And I know the vendor doesn't have a returns policy with us. And I can tell the manager, be like, so this is how this works, and my manager can tell me, no, you're misunderstanding, and then I can go through multiple hours of work to contact the vendor, just be told what I told my manager already, and then just to have my manager say I never told him that.
Hmm.
Like that's a bad system.
That's frustrating. Yeah, it's
Because
like pointless. It's pointless.
it's a pointless waste of labor. And I've been doing this job for 8 years. I know the job. So at what point do I get to have agency over my own actions?
Hmm.
Right. So this is the thing with like now I'm a mutualist, so mutualism is different from other schools of anarchism. But like at what point do I get to self-determination in my job to make these calls without having to grovel in front of someone who doesn't understand my functionality?
Hmm. Yeah. No, I mean there's a lot of things like that. It's like we were talking. I
Oh
had
yeah,
to
capitalism
do
is full of it. This is hardly a unique thing.
Yeah, I had to do a presentation about the political economy of technoscience this week, which is basically like talking about how science works now as under neoliberalism, essentially,
Yeah.
and how the political economy of technoscience has changed now that science is viewed as like information is viewed as a commodity, and in the knowledge economy, how science is viewed differently. And
Right.
so that changes all of not only science but academia,
And
because now we all have to justify our existence and sell ourselves, right? And
right.
like
There's
get
a different.
funding, which is like, no one is blamed for that, because
Yeah.
again, we all have to survive under neoliberalism and capitalism, but it feels weird to do that, right?
And honestly, like so there's a difference between like science as function of betterment of mankind and science as a function of commodity, right? And so this is why we have such a hard time dealing with climate change, because climate change is not commodifiable,
There is
right?
no science as common good anymore. There is
Yeah,
only science as
there
commodity. That's
there is
the
only
problem.
commodity.
No one, no, they killed the other kind of
Yeah,
conceptions of science. That's the
and
problem.
like and really I don't want to shill for the USSR. I got more than a few problems with the USSR, but one area where they were really good at was just science for science fucking sake. Because like if you look at the space race would not have happened if it wasn't for the USSR. Even though yes, it was the US who landed the first man on the moon, they
That
were
was
all the
they
other
were all doing state funding here. You know,
Well, yeah.
like I mean, in the U.S. Well, sorry, here
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's part of it. One, the first man on the moon was absolutely just state funded. No private entities were involved in that. But also, like all of the other milestones of the space race were all the Soviets. All of them. First man in space, first satellite, all of them
Yep.
were the
Yeah.
Soviets.
Yeah.
And so because they were interested in sciences for science's sake.
They also make
Right?
incredibly sturdy things.
Yeah.
Their technology will not break. Like the fact that they were still launching people in the same stuff from the 70s.
Right.
And
Well,
like
yeah, because there was no marketing incentive to make cheap goods because you don't want to so sturdier goods, which is better for them because they didn't have they didn't have to sell you a new one every year to make profit and to increase market share.
we're back to space. We got there. But it's true. It's true. No, I mean,
So, yeah, like even but so even the US landing a man on the moon would not have happened if it wasn't a response to
it's not only that, it's also like Red Scare specifically. Like it
well,
was like we are
they
Red
really want to be like,
Scare,
this is the
we are
one thing we need to
failing our
keep now.
children in education, you know, all of these things. Like there were a lot of things going on. But yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, we should, you know, the US should really thank the Russians for, you know, I mean, they've abandoned NASA now. So I mean, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean the Russians are also abandoning their space program. Like the ISS is going to have is going to collapse soon because the Russians have abandoned it, and the ISS runs through like a shared program, and it's not like and the way the share program works in the ISS is that like specific functions are handled by each nation, and like the propellant that keeps the ISS up in the air to begin with is handled by Russia, and they have just said, nah, we're out.
It's, you know, it's exceptionally sad because like I was thinking about that today. One of the like most amazing experiences I've ever had was going to like Kennedy and being able to go into the vehicle assembly building and like being at that launch, like the last space shuttle launch. And you know, they have they have everything there to build stuff. It's like all there. The vehicle assembly building is the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life. It is indescribable. Like when you see it like from far away, it starts getting bigger and you don't think it's going to get any bigger and it just keeps getting bigger. Like you know,
yeah, I haven't set foot on the US since like 2004, so
I mean, well this was oh, I don't remember when it was, but yeah, anyways.
I was fucking around the Nevada desert when that was, so
that was yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't go now, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean having all of this like ability to build things and to kind of just give it up is like it's kind of sad.
Well,
Especially
I mean,
since Elon Musk isn't
because I was gonna say because they want to privatize it, right?
Yeah.
So they want rather than developing this tech themselves, they want to hand it over to capitalists, and Elon Musk, who's well, we all know my opinions on Elon Musk.
Yeah. Well,
they are not fond. I am not fond of Elon Musk.
Blame the Montpellier Society.
Yeah,
they're responsible for everything.
So it's just like
it's not crazy conspiracy talk. Literally, those guys are responsible for neoliberalism.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's all of them. Like they're definitely like a lot of neoliberal philosophy comes from the Pele, but like there are other factors.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
but like
people probably wouldn't take it up if they weren't looking for a reason to screw people over anyway.
Yeah, so like neoliberalism we know it now was a cash grab. But like that cash was already in play through forces that predate Like it wasn't for mercantilism and capitalism and like these systems that already exist, neoliberalism would never have been permitted to grow. So like neoliberalism as we know it now grew within a system that already accommodated it.
All goes back to colonialism, I'm sure. That's what I think. Anyway. Well, we were almost in space, and then we veered off again. But let's go to Star Trek and get back to it. 26 minutes.
I mean, I'll just sit here and talk leftist theory for 3 hours. I don't care.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, that's something I need to, talk about. But we probably will bore other people when we're supposed to talk about Star Trek. In any case,
and here I was going to veer us off and talking about I'm glad my mother died.
And people would be like, whoa, okay, that took a turn. Hey.
I have been reading it, and it is. I mean, I don't know what I was prepared for, but it's way more awkward than I expected it to be.
Oh yeah. That's it's something. It's something else, eh? I feel extremely bad for that woman. It's bad people, bad therapy, bad parenting, all kinds of badness, all wrapped up in a little bow.
Systemic failure, all like parental failure combined with like systemic failure is just awful. Oh.
Dan Schneider should be burned.
Oh, he hasn't really. Where I am now, he's not in it yet. She just got she's auditioning for iCarly right now, where I left the book last.
Dan Schneider, the worst person in the world. But he's not in there by name, but he is in there. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know anything about iCarly. I was a little bit too. I was young enough to be familiar with it, but too young to have, or too old to have actually watched it.
I never watched any of that stuff. I just knew about that dude for quite some time.
Dan Schneider, what's?
He was he's basically like one of the executive producers of all kinds of shows on Nickelodeon. And
I didn't recognize his name, but now I see a picture of him.
He was on Head of the Class too.
Yeah, he's younger than me, huh?
He's a bad person.
Okay, so he wasn't a producer on iCarly. He was in iCarly.
Okay. He was a producer. He was executive producer of almost everything on Nickelodeon, basically.
Okay, because he's also apparently was on it.
Oh, maybe.
Oh no, this is a set photo, not a. Oh. This is a set photo, not a. Okay, I'm mistaken. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'll have that to look forward to because I'm not that far in the book yet. Yeah. Although I'm about to hit it.
There's a lot. I won't get into all the rumors about him because a lot of people are just like, oh no, he's probably just,
he's whatever. In Hollywood. I assume they're true.
I assume so too. Like that's where I am, but other people seem to think that he's the victim of a campaign to malign him. So,
Yep. No, I doubt that. My policy on these rumors is I'll take them with a grain of salt the first time they crop up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes these things do happen. Like people do create false, but if they ever crop up again, because if someone's telling the truth, or someone's not telling the truth, those rumors are going to go away.
You would think.
If they don't go away, they're probably true.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think. All right. In any case, let's get to Star Trek. Awkward transition, but hey, why not? So, the first episode is Masquerade, which makes me think about either Vampire or the song from Phantom of the Opera. It was a pretty good episode.
Not a theater kid, so I just go right to Vampire.
Oh, well, I mean, I grew up in the 80s and it was just freaking everywhere on TV at the time. Like those commercials.
It was like in the 90s too. Yeah, it was very heavy in the 90s too.
Yeah, it was in Toronto, it was hard to escape Phantom of the Opera. We actually had like a class trip to go to Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, I saw it as well. We had nosebleed sections, so you could barely see the screen.
I guess it was like...
I do remember the chandelier, though.
Yeah. No, we went to the actual one at, like, the Pantages, and it was like... Anyway, it was fine, I guess. It was a lot. I'm sure it was supposed to be culture. Anyways, Masquerade, which is the 15th episode of Prodigy. The protostar stops for repairs at a starport in the Romulan neutral zone. Admiral Jellicoe, who took over the Enterprise and is now bossing around Janeway, denies Admiral Janeway's request to enter the zone in pursuit, but orders the Dauntless to destroy the protostar if the Romulans try to steal it. Geneticist Dr. Yago, or Jago, is it Jago or Yago? I forget. Informs Dal that he is Jago informs Dal that he's a human hybrid experiment, augmented with 26 other species. Dal reluctantly accepts an implant to unlock the augments. Dauntless enters the zone after concluding the Romulans are trying to steal the protostar. Romulan agents learn the Tal Shiar. Hello, Romulan agents. The Tal Shiar learn they need the captain to gain control of the protostar. When they find the crew, Okona boots it. Like, see ya, and Dal subdues them using his new abilities. The Romulans continue to ambush the crew as they return to their ship. Janeway fires 4-ton torpedoes at the protostar, but has them diverted as the crew repel the agents. Sorry, the crew? As Murph repels the agents. Zero removes Dal's implant, and he returns to normal. Actually Zero and Rocktalk removed Dal's implant. And on Dauntless, Resensia reveals to herself to the Diviner as another Vonnegut agent in disguise, accompanied with a new and improved Dreadnought, which we found out is another Dreadnought entirely.
So. I'm not thinking down because of bad plot. I'm just doing the down thumbs note motion because she's a bad guy.
Yeah, because she's a bad guy. She was really good at her, like, she was did a good job of her, like, oh, I'm so innocent and sad, but like that's why she was like really like, oh, I need to take care of this poor old man who lost his memory, and like was like, I'm gonna look for Gwen and like talk to her and everything. So, you know, that was well seated.
My one beef is that there's no way that robot thing. Forget what his fucking name is.
Dreadnought.
There's no way they could have passed Dreadnought off as a table. The Enterprise censored would the Starship censored would have picked that up.
Well, I guess he's a Dreadnought table from the future, so maybe I guess that's why they're kind of like saying maybe he's shielded. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't notice him, because he was shielded and from the future. So
the second that like the table turned to the Dreadnought, I was like, what?
What? How was this robot sneaking around the Enterprise? How did they not notice that she's the
Dauntless?
The Dauntless. Sorry, how is it sneaking around a Starfleet ship without anyone noticing? And like, I guess the augment makes a certain amount of sense. Like, if it's genetic, like they don't have genetic screeners on everything, I guess. But you know, the robot table, yeah.
Well, and like the scene where she like goes from being like Trill to her actual race, I forget what they're called. Kind of bugged me at first until I remembered. I'm like, oh wait, the entire first season of Discovery revolved around this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Actually, there was also like it also crops up in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. Yep. There's like an Illyrian, a augmented like Noonien Soong, right? Like,
yeah.
And
I think, man, they gotta let Noonien Soong go. They gotta let this character go. I am tired of everything tying into Soong.
Yeah, it's getting
that was the one plot like the rest of the episode I really liked. But man, when they were like, you were created by Soong, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and that was that was actually from TNG. Wait, no, It was from a Enterprise episode that was a Brent Spiner character, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I looked it up. I'm like, which one was that? Was that the one from Picard? Then I'm like, no, it was one from Enterprise.
It's just because Enterprise did have this plot twist, because that's how Enterprise explained the head ridges on the Klingons going away.
Oh, okay. Ah, got it. All right.
So yeah, the way that plot works on Enterprise is that like some Klingons find out about the eugenics wars, and they're like, "Ooh, we want to be extra strong." So they steal this genetic alteration technology that I believe was made by Asung, but it's been a while since I've watched Enterprise, so I might be mistaken. And they inject themselves with it, and it as a side effect, because it's human DNA, their head ridges go away, and that's sort of how they explain the head ridges going away in TOS.
Okay.
So
it was just a certain kind of Klingon.
Yeah. I just spilled Pepsi all over my face because I don't know how my fucking mouth is.
That happens to me all the time. So Dal starts with Stardate, who cares? And they actually go to like sort of a like, it's almost like a pirate planet.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really neat.
I thought it was neat too, and they had those elevators again.
It also
space elevators, which is like, have been like all over the place lately, seems like.
Yeah, the outdoor space elevators that like you never see elevators like that in real life, but they're all over sci-fi now.
Well, I mean, because Mariner had to dive twice.
Yeah.
In lower decks, once by herself and once with Ransom. And then the Tal Shiar dove off the space elevators too. Yep. So that was kind of fun. I'm like, they're all over the place. Everybody's doing the space elevators, man.
Also, like, it's not even Star Trek, because like if you remember, like in Winter Soldier, that's the kind of elevator that Captain America fights all those dudes in.
Oh, like, yeah, just sort of like an open, elevator.
Yeah. I've never seen these open elevators that sit on the outside of a building ever in my life. But man, they're all over sci-fi and superhero stuff.
The inside of, the Bell building downtown by the Eaton Center, they have those on the inside of the atrium. So if you go inside, they have those.
But it's specifically on the outside. Like, you've just never seen that in real life. I'm sure they exist. I'm sure they're probably really expensive to maintain, because having an elevator on the outside is just going to be massive.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, they probably don't have them here because it's like too cold and there's too much snow. It would be stupid to build it here. Like, it's probably only warm places where you won't freeze to death if the elevator's on the outside. And
yeah, I mean, even a hurricane in a warm temperate place is going to be a problem. I just don't. I can't imagine that they're economical to maintain, so I'm sure that's why I don't see them. But they make for good drama.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's sci-fi, so they don't need to worry about things like how much it costs, unless it's Andor. Yeah. If it's Andor, they totally worry about how much things cost. How much does it cost? How do you build the Death Star? What?
I still need to finish watching that. I've watched the first 3 arcs now. I just I just haven't been watching much TV lately.
Well, it comes and goes. But I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna have to rewatch it soon. I'm just I don't know. I'm trying not to get too much into anything because I'm looking right now at my wall of assignments over the next few weeks.
Well, I mean, also, I'm just not watching anything right now. Last thing I watched was Inside Job, and that was about 2 weeks ago.
John Tory was on Inside Job?
What? I missed him.
Apparently he gave the key to Toronto to somebody.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, yep, that did happen. I didn't realize it was him. I just assumed it was some fill-in actor, but that did happen.
No, apparently that was, it wasn't actual John Tory. It was meant to be John Tory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even think he has any lines. It was just like the mayor of Toronto. I didn't realize they tried to make him, I wasn't paying enough attention to realize who they even try to make him look. But yes, someone does get the key of the city in the second season of Inside Job. Also, Nixon's advisor, Henry Kissinger, is in it and murders himself with a broken wine bottle after doing acid.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah, experienced ego death. Yeah. He
does, sorry, not acid. He does shrooms. Experiences ego death. Realizes he's actually a monster and then murders himself. It's great.
That's beautiful.
Great, like 10 seconds of television.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. That would be a nice thing.
Inside Job on its own.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, did you recognize Jellicoe when he showed up in this episode?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I read it when I recognized.
Had you not told me, somebody, I never would have figured it out.
I recognized it was somebody, but I didn't know who. And then I wish they'd said like Jellicoe or something, like, or I don't know if they did. If they did, I totally.
If they did, I didn't catch it, and I would never have known had you not specifically told me.
Oh man. Well, apparently it was. And it was that dude. And he was the one who was telling Janeway what to do, which I thought was kind of fun. So it was nice to be vindicated that Dal was in fact a genetic construct.
Gary called it. Gary called it. I wasn't as sure as he was, but Gary called it.
That was me.
Oh, he wasn't.
No.
You called it then.
Yes.
I didn't say you were wrong, but I also was somewhat skeptical, but you definitely called it.
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't think that he would be like 26 different species or anything like that. And I thought it was kind of fun when it came along at a time that he was already feeling in like, you know, it's interesting that they have like these little back and forth things with Dal's insecurities about being captain. Because it like a lot of things that you were saying that would be maybe more annoying if it were like a show about adults. It makes a lot of sense because he's a kid. And so like he'll be like, okay, great, I'm secure as a captain. And then like people were, you know, getting advice from Okona and everything like that. And so he was feeling weird about it and finding out he could, you know, get this implant to, you know, unlock his augmentations at a time where he felt like he had to be better or cooler or something like that was kind of neat.
I mean, and honestly, if someone had made that offer to me, I'd be like, yeah, fucking do it.
Yeah. I mean, there would have been
no showy, like, oh, I don't know. There would have been like no, like, pretending for my friends I don't want it. Be like, no, fucking put that stuff in me.
If you're like a 15-year-old kid, right? Especially, you'd be like, yeah, okay, hook me up. Let's go.
Actually, so a 15-year-old me would be much more hesitant than 40-year-old me.
Oh,
40-year-old me would be like, yeah, fucking just jam that shit in me. Fuck it.
I'm so tired and everything hurts. Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go. 15-year-old me would be, I don't know, man. Maybe it'll be bad or drugs bad later on.
That's exactly how it would go.
No, when I was 15, I'm like, I would totally be a cyborg, guys. Totally. If I could remember everything, if I could just like think things and type them into the computer, like hook me up, okay? Cyborg me up. But then I didn't know that we would go into the realm of freaking like, you know, surveillance capitalism. So now I'm like, no, don't put a chip in my brain. I'm not interested in that.
Don't melt my brain, Elon. Not like you did those monkeys.
Don't steal my thoughts, Google. I'm not interested in that. Don't steal my thoughts. No.
Yeah, like implanting shit into your body in a biohacking sense, awesome.
Yeah.
Implanting shit into your body in a like, I'm a massive surveillance tech bro.
Yeah, I know. Oh. That's where it would go now. So I'm like, You know, I'm like, I just want to think everything, all my papers into the computer, and then I'm like, the way it's going now, no, that would be a bad plan. Anyway, Dal, like, I love that Dal is an augment. And we see why Starfleet
It's
wants
really
him now.
it's a
I'm a little
topic
concerned for him.
it's a topic that Star Trek seems to be having a moment with.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, they didn't deal very well with them for a while. So I mean,
well, they also weren't relevant like they are now.
mhm,
Like now we have CRISPR, and like genetic engineering is very possibly a thing.
mhm.
Um, so now, like in Star Trek's well positioned to have this conversation because in its lore they have the eugenics wars. Now
They all, yeah.
the eugenics wars were were a refutation of Nazism, but it puts them in a place to have a conversation about like genetic engineering because and then which is like Strange New World has gone there, and now Prodigy is going there.
Yeah, so he's like Khan and Lon and Julian
Yeah,
and Una to a certain way extent.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Julian comes from the '90s, so very different messaging than what we're getting with these later ones. But yeah,
yeah, so like how Julian was handled and how Una is handled in Strange New Worlds is going to affect what happens to Dal, I
yeah,
guess, in the future, episodes of Prodigy, because we still don't know what's going to happen to Una. And I think that's going to affect what's going to happen with Dal in the future.
even that old DS9 episode makes a good argument for why like Starfleet's no it's a tough topic because I'm autistic and like you have once again going back to Elon fucking Musk, like part of Elon Musk's brain chip thing is curing autism. Dude's autistic himself, but like
Mm,
Jesus fucking Christ, like you'd think an autistic person would be the first to realize that we don't need a cure. And so there's a dialogue to be had about like what the role and what are the limits and what are the ethics of like we can cure this.
well, looking
Like,
even at that, like curing that, or from the other end, like, the medically assisted, dying being
yeah.
extended to people with mental illnesses, and people saying, well, if you have an incurable mental illness.
As someone who was a huge maid advocate back in the day, um, and I still
I
am,
have been too. Yeah, 100%. I
um,
was too.
but
This is just not the
what
way it was supposed to go
what yeah what maid has become is terrifying and unethical
in Canada.
in
Yeah,
Canada. In
in
Canada, and
Canada.
like this is going back to the leftist theory. This isn't Maid's fault. This is capitalism's fault.
Mhm. No, it's just let's just kill people who can't be productive
Yeah,
members of society.
let's well yeah let's force people to homelessness because we have a housing crisis that we will not deal with, and then cause people to default on their loans when they can't work because they are disabled, and then their only choice is to kill. This is fucking eugenics. It's
Mhm,
fucking eugenics. This
mhm,
is um and I like Star Trek is well positioned to have this conversation.
mhm,
Um, I don't think the two shows that are having it, which is Prodigy and Strange New Worlds, are the best shows to have it. Like Discovery, I think, is probably tonally the show that has the most appropriate tone to handle this as a talking point.
mhm,
I think Strange New Worlds, as much as I love it, is a bit goofy to be handling a. I mean, Strange New Worlds can and does get dark, but I question whether it is it can handle the weight of this topic. And Prodigy, I think the audience is too young to fully. I mean, mind you, like it's clearly trying to go for the for the Avatar audience, and the Avatar gets like straight up into colonialism. So maybe I'm underestimating Prodigy's audience.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, and it's interesting. I think what they're trying to do too is Dal keeps talking about being a failed experiment. And, I think there's going to be something to that, because I keep being like, oh, I will talk to the TV every once in a while. I'm like, you're not failed. I mean, you're alive, you're walking, you're talking, you're intelligent. That's better than,
Yeah, that
you could expect. You're not a pile of goo, right? That seems like successful to me, right? And so, I think it's just like he keeps hoping he's going to find family, and he keeps being disappointed. And
I wonder if they're going to do a plot line where he does find someone else like him.
Yeah, that might be nice.
Like where Singh made others.
Yeah, I wonder. It might be interesting to see. Like I really feel bad for him. Like I think maybe part of the point is
it wasn't Noonan Singh. I forget who it was. It was a different Noonan.
Yeah.
But either way, like whomever made more like him.
But yeah, I mean, I do feel bad for him, and I mean, I think maybe the point is a lot of the time that like the people he has is his family, and when they get to Janeway, I think she's slowly becoming like more, feeling more empathy for them. That's for
sure. They're going to do definitely, especially like after this episode when she realizes they're just a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely going to go like the Fast and Furious family route.
Yeah, for sure. I was a little surprised Okona bailed like that. Like, I mean, we'll see if he comes back.
I
kind of feel like
I am surprised I'm not surprised he bailed, but yeah, I'm surprised he didn't come back later.
Like that's kind of what I thought. He might be on the ship or something.
It seemed like a perfect like scoundrel redemptive moment. It's the Han Solo moment where he leaves and then comes back at the final hour to show that he's learned what it means to be a hero.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, the thing with Murph I thought was great, because like he kept trying to get trying to get out of the like gerbil ball thing that he was in, which I thought was totally understandable. But I realized what was happening, because like it was like, let me out, let me kick their ass. And I'm like thinking like the whole time he kept trying to get out, I was like, no, let him out. I think he can do something, right? And then I realized when he beat the crap out of the Shi'ar, I'm like, oh, that's what he was doing with the freaking phasers. He was like, no, look, guys, this is what I can do. I'm not just randomly shoot. But he's like, he doesn't know how to use the phasers. So he's like, hey, guys, I can fight.
I don't think Murph's gone through his final transformation. I think we're going to see a Murph that is like ambient and can talk and fully sentient. I mean, Murph already clearly is fully sentient, but
I'll probably like, I mean, I think Murph will be able to communicate better, yeah, at some point. But I find it hilarious that Murph was like, just when he was walking around just shooting things, I think he was actually being like, hey guys, look, I can help.
I have hands.
I have hands. I am an ass kicker. Look at me go. And that was just awesome. I laughed my head off.
The idea that they have a security chief who cannot talk is amusing.
Oh my god, I killed myself laughing. I'm like, no, let him out. And then when they did, and he's just like,
yeah. I definitely didn't like these 2 episodes as much. That they were so good. It's just the last 3 episodes have been so stellar that like this felt like a.
Well, this one, I thought the plot twist at the end with Essentia was really like fully worth it. I thought this one was fun. The next one kind of slows things down, but one,
we'll get into it more when we get into it. But the next episode, today's episode, the one I just watched today, felt like it should have been way earlier. Like it was a necessary episode, but it felt it should have been like way earlier.
I don't know. I get where it comes from.
I think given background on all the characters who haven't had like major story beats, which is basically most of them, and I think like being like, hey, them sitting down and being like, hey, here's our deal. Like I think we needed that. I don't know why it's so late in the series.
Yeah.
Like that should have been somewhere around episode 7 or 8.
Yeah, perhaps.
We'll talk about more when we get to that episode.
Yeah. Also, I'm not seeing too much more. Oh, it was Eric Soong, yeah, who was in the augments in Star Trek Enterprise. That was in a 3-part kind of Borderlands, Cold Station, 12, the augments, played by Brent Spiner, as every Dr. Soong is. Dallas DNA scan shows Romulan, Cardassian, Ferengi, Bajoran, Ryzen, Hirogen, species 8472, Zindi, Gorn, Sullivan, Breen, Sona, Riemann, Tholian, and Vedian, along with the symbol for the Dominion, which could mean Jem'Hadar, Forta, or Founder genes.
I caught the Dominion one as well. My assumption isn't Founders because that just like that would make him a shapeshifter or something. I don't know.
They said based on the this is Trek Core, based on the ability Dal uses in the Supernova video game, my money is on Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, Jem'Hadar would make the most sense. Like for if you were augmenting like a creature, Jem'Hadar would make more sense.
Right, and also like we did get like a hint of a bunch of the races he's made up of when he like started taking on all their unique traits.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some Klingon in there for sure.
Oh, like for sure he has the Klingon head ridge. There's definitely some Vulcan and like
there was some Vulcan going on for sure.
He has the head suction cup things.
Oddly, the symbol of the Maquis appears when Dr. Jago points out that he started out with most likely Homo sapien DNA. Perhaps the original human DNA used from the process came from a Maquis rebel. Oh man, is Chakotay his dad?
I doubt it, but you never know.
Yeah.
As someone who's not a Chakotay fan, I kind of maybe I'm just wishful thinking that I don't. We did see Chakotay.
Yeah, we did see Chakotay, so let's move on. Chakotay's in the future, y'all. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Chakotay's abandoned in the future.
Oh, one last thing that I liked from this episode, or two last things. One, Okona told the story of the outrageous Okona, which I thought was kind of funny, where he was like, here I was just trying to help 2 kids in love, and all these angry dads thought I stole the jewel of Thessia. And I'm like, ha ha ha, that's the story. I love it. He was just trying to help 2 kids in love. Why you a jerk and leave these kids alone? And Ronnie Cox, who plays Jellicoe, was also Velos Cohagen in Total Recall, the original Total Recall.
Which I've seen Total Recall, but I don't remember this character because it's been so fucking long.
No, well, he was just the gang boss. There was a guy who was named Velos Cohagen in a Vampire the Masquerade game we played. Hey, connection. And he Green was not here for this, but it's kind of like something that
this dude, the dude who gets suffocated at the end.
Yeah. So people talk about this, like people were astounded that this guy called himself Velos Cohagen, and I hadn't seen Total Recall, so I did not know the joke that someone got like Velos Cohagen, whatever, and they're like, no, he's the villain in Total Recall, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And so,
and then you watched it and you thought it was really funny.
Well, no. So then he was the Harpy, and one day, like, he had to make an announcement, but they didn't tell him what the announcement was. So they're like, Stahl, we'll tell you what it is in a second. He's like standing up there, and everyone's standing there, like staring at him, like, what's gonna happen? He's like, yeah, okay, well, give me a minute, we'll find out. And then he starts going, his name was Velos Cohagen. And he sings this whole freaking Copacabana song about himself, like, like about himself, like to the
Who
tune of Copacabana.
who played him? Would I know him?
Alex Brodsky.
I know. Okay, no, I don't recognize it. I might know
Yeah.
him anyways.
No, no, you would know. It was really something else. It was somewhere between cringe and impressive. And it's hilarious and it's pretty much legendary. I don't know how he made up this song to the tune of Copacabana about himself. He was a toreador. It was incredible
Well, I mean that's why he was Toreador.
because he made up a song about himself to the tune of Copacabana. Because obviously, you know. Anyway, Preludes on the next episode, which was a little slow, but I think it was a necessary episode. It was written by everyone.
I absolutely thought it was necessary. I thought it came too late in the series.
It was.
Its primary function is to. Sorry, I'll let you get to your.
Yeah, go on. No problem.
Its primary function is to just let us know, like, hey, here's the shit you missed about, like, these side characters.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's we just don't know. Like, it just we this is information that we should have known far earlier in the show. If they were going to give us at all.
I suppose there's an argument for that. I suppose there's an argument for it wasn't really necessary for us to know it until they knew it. So I don't know. It did kind of slow down the kind of pace of everything. But let me just go over this first, and then we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
But it was written by everyone on the writing team, which is kind of cool.
Probably each one of them wrote a different character episode.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it's probably all of sort of like bringing together all of the episodes.
Yeah, two writers got because I think there are 5 little flashback sequences in total.
Well, it's probably bringing together kind of all of the character threads to a certain extent too. So, as the crew of the Protostar repair the proto-drive, each of them recounts how they got to Tars Lamora. Rock reveals how she was once a fighter, often playing the monster in a carnival-like show, and she was sold after she altered the script of the show and defeated the hero. Zero recounts how they were lured away from their Medusan exploration crew only to be captured by hunters. Jenkem goes last and describes how he was awakened early from cryogenic sleep on a Tellurite ship and repaired critical damage to the vessel, finally leaving in an escape pod so enough oxygen would remain for the rest of the crew. On the Dauntless, Janeway discovers that the Protostar crew are children, as Essentia, known as the Vindicator, and Dreadnought helped the Diviner regain his memories of traveling to the past to locate the Protostar. Janeway becomes suspicious of their guests and head to Essentia's quarters, where she is knocked unconscious by the Diviner. Which I was like, no, you didn't. How dare you touch Janeway? What is wrong with you?
I mean, it was going to come to a head that way anyways, eventually. But
it's definitely going
to end that the kids are going to have to rescue Janeway. That's definitely how this is going to go.
Well, I mean, that is the best way, really, for them to, convince her that they're on the up and up and they're not bad people. Although she's kind of on the way anyway. But for them to be convinced that she believes them too,
Like the second she realizes that they're kids, she's like, okay, these are kids. They're clearly just over their head.
Yeah, but they're not going to believe that she's okay with them unless they make a big gesture, and like saving her is like probably going to be enough for them to feel like, oh, it's okay for us to go back to her. So 100%, yeah, I see that as the way. Like, I didn't see it before you said it, but now that you've said it, 100%. I was not impressed though. But yeah, the twist continues in this episode, which I thought was kind of great. The Essentia, who is the Vindicator, I suppose, and her Dreadnought help the Diviner remember the whole story, which kind of fills in our background and reveals, as I said, that Chakotay is in the future with the Protostar's crew. It seems like.
Yeah, it sounds like because they sent the Protostar back in time without a crew, so that to prevent the villain race who
The
blames that
The Vaunakot.
the Vanakot from getting it, so that they couldn't go back. And I don't fully understand.
They're
Um,
not really villains because what they're trying to
well,
do,
that's exactly it. I mean, they are because or at least I mean, they're slavers at the end of the day.
oh
It's
well, I
hard.
mean, he is. The
Yeah, okay,
diviner
fair,
is. We
fair.
don't know.
It,
We don't know if the rest of them are. I mean,
it's hard. It's hard to argue that the diviner is anything but a villain
100% the
when
diviner is a villain. We just don't know what the Vaunakot are like.
yeah, like the diviner, like the second you start enslaving people, is just sort of like, yeah, you've lost a lot of your sympathy there, guy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, no, I don't think that the diviner is not a
Like
villain.
now that we got this, well, I mean, yeah, now that we got this other Valakot girl, who's
She
supposed to be
doesn't
a girl.
seem super awesome either.
Yeah, I
Let's
was
be
going to say,
fair.
like, she seems like, if anything, slightly worse than he is.
Yeah, in some ways, because like right now he's kind of like all over the place. But yeah,
Yeah,
she seems very hardcore. And it was fun that they played around with the accent, that she had her like American accent before, and now that she's herself, she's British again. Because that's Jamila Jamil, right? So
so that's who. Yeah, yeah, that's right. You told me she was playing her. I forgot.
yeah. Well, it is easy to forget because when she's like the innocent Trill ensign,
Yeah,
she's very different than when she's like Vindicator
it,
Vaunakot.
it is weird that I didn't pick it up because usually I'm just like, I know that voice.
Well, she
Like,
doesn't even sound like herself as the
yeah,
British.
that
Yeah.
that's fair. Like when she's in Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, when she's in Camp Cretaceous,
Hmm.
she sounds like herself.
Yeah, she doesn't sound like herself in this. She's very good. She's created some very interesting voices in this show.
Another show I need to finish. There's one season left. I haven't sat down with it yet.
Oh, cool. So yeah, no, I'm interested in this Vindicator character. Because like if only because I don't think they would have cast Jamila Jamil if they weren't going to do some more stuff with her.
Yeah, well,
You know?
also like, and this might be why I'm like, she seems worse than the other guys, because like Vindicator.
Yeah, I was gonna say her
It's
name is
like,
the Vindicator. His is the Diviner, and hers is the
yeah,
Vindicator. And I'm like, maybe he got off track in the 20 years somewhere along the way, making a progeny and started slavery. Like maybe that was like, a bad detour. Like maybe he didn't start out that way. Maybe she
well,
just started out bad. You know what I'm saying?
and
Right? Like,
like, well, I mean, I definitely think that, like, I mean, it's I don't their problematic actions, like their evil actions, are driven. They're very good villains in a sense, because they're villains with a sympathetic. They don't fall into the Marvel trap of like the villain is right,
mhm.
but they walk a good line being like, this is wrong, but I understand why you're doing it.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be doing this, but I'm like, I can even like them being upset with Starfleet. You're like, well, lots of people have been upset with Starfleet, so that's even understandable too, right? Like it's not wrong to be mad about at
Mhm.
Starfleet for fucking up. They do fuck up.
Yeah.
So
I'm a bit perplexed with some of the time travel stuff. I don't fully understand what they're doing with the time travel stuff.
it's always confusing to figure out what's going on with,
Excuse me.
when the people mess with the timeline. So
Yeah. So like, I'm not sure, like, I'm not sure why, like, maybe it was explained and I just missed it, but I'm not sure why Chakotay just sent the Protostar back unmanned. Like, that doesn't fully make sense
that
to
was
me.
so because they were going to go back. The Vaunakot were going to go back in the Protostar.
Yeah, but like, why? I just don't understand why, like, they didn't get on it, or like, there's plot. It's plot contrivance, is
I
what it
think
is.
they
And I don't
were
think
they
it's
were
good.
gonna get on it, but they were about to stop. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that was well explained, but it's a 5 minute vignette in an episode that is nothing but 5 minute vignettes. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little hard to explain. I'm sure we'll get some more information about that. But it was nice to see, like, I saw the whole fighting part, like with Rock, and like immediately like, oh, that's why
Yeah.
she doesn't
So
like to fight.
like I don't think anything in the vignettes were things that we needed to know. But I just think for structurally, as far as like if you think of how a show is structured,
Hmm.
if they were going to give us this, it would have been better to have it closer to the beginning than like way out at the back to kill momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right. Like that would be the one thing I would say probably is like
Like I
it
think all
did
this,
sort of like the momentum has been ticking along and this is
yeah,
kind of
like
a slower
the
episode.
revelations with the diviner specifically,
Mm,
those are cool this far back, but the
mm.
character beats. Like if we're going to get like here's how every one of them was captured and sold into slavery, if we're going to do that episode, maybe you should do that right after they escape.
Yeah, because like there's nothing in there that is anything that needs to be held back.
Yeah, like
Though
other,
I
other than diviner plot, but the other four,
yeah, the other three, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, I guess so because Murph doesn't get one. You're right.
No, they don't. They asked Murph, but Murph just farted or
Murph
something like that. Yeah. I do have to say the image of all the Medusans spilling out
Oh,
across the
nice.
landscape was so beautiful. And like um Zero, little Zero, and the bigger Medusan that I assume was like their guardian or maybe their parent or something like that, watching the bug get eaten. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. It's like Zero's parent or something. That's so cool. And like, I thought it was so pretty to see all the
The
Medusans of
one
all
thing
their
that
different
surprised me,
colors. Right?
the one thing that surprised me is how junker their ship was.
Yeah, I know, right? They're like, we don't really care what our ship looks like.
Well, also
We're just
I'm
balls of light.
like we're balls of light. We fly around a big metal hunk of junk.
Yeah, I know.
Like
They're
I
like,
expected them to like.
we don't care for aesthetics. We're fine.
It's not even that like they don't care for aesthetics. It's that they have a material corporal ship to begin with.
Like, you're like, why aren't you just flying through space?
Yeah.
Well, they needed a counter suit, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, why does Zero need a suit at all? Like, because they were just flying around just fine, I guess, for communication and to manipulate.
And so, like, people don't always go crazy. I assume, like,
that's fair.
That trap and those things, like, stop the Kazon from, like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why didn't the Kazon go crazy? But they did have those things over their eyes. So I mean, that's
Yeah, they did. They had goggles too, so I think that was part of it. They were planning on trapping a Medusan.
Yeah.
I wonder if the diviner was like. It seems like the diviner was asking for specific species too.
Yeah, well, I suspect he wanted a Medusan for some like an energy source
or mind reading.
Yeah.
So Zero could tell him like what people were thinking, so it could stop rebellions or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be a big part of it too, I assume. So, I mean, I thought the stories were really nice. Jenkums was kind of like Jenkums was nice.
Was a lot. I
it showed really like that Jenkum is a lot, has a bigger heart and a bigger sense of duty than he lets on, which I really think is wonderful.
For what Jenkums I was fine with until it was like oxygen low, but getting rid of one.
Oh, and then your little heart broke. You're like, no.
I was annoyed. I was like, that wouldn't work that way.
Yeah, I know it wouldn't work that
way. There's part of me that's like, it's a kid's show, don't worry about it. And the other part of me like, no, this is stupid.
Yeah, I know. It seems pretty dumb. Like all I could think of was, they didn't plan for that because they were all supposed to be in cryo sleep or whatever.
I mean, yeah, the idea is that they partitioned just enough oxygen for the trip, and having him be active and using more oxygen depleted exactly one person's worth of oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was silly. I didn't.
Yeah.
In a different, I thought it was silly because Star Trek has never had problems with, like, this is a problem we've never seen in Star Trek.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true. It's true.
If this problem had shown up in Alien, I may not have been so dismissive of it.
So, we don't see a lot of stuff outside the Federation.
It's true.
So we have to like kind of like give some, I guess, leeway for maybe
like
stuff that
we've
happens
never
outside the
seen
Federation.
anyone in Star Trek outside of like refugees from the 80s use cryosleep. It's just not a technology that comes up very often.
Oh yeah, it's true. So I mean, like we're kind of seeing a lot of stuff get expanded out that we're not, familiar with. So that's
yeah. I mean, it seemed a little, because it's Star Trek. Like I said, I would accept this more from a different franchise, but because it's Star Trek, it seemed a little contrived to me to just be like, you used up exactly one person's worth of energy. Or one person's worth of oxygen. Like, once again, it's a kid's show. I don't want to be too harsh because Star Trek is always goofy and uses like conveniences like that to tell a story. It's not particularly un-Trek-like. I don't know. It bugs me, and I can't put my finger on why it bugged me so much.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to think about why it might. It was probably just because it was probably just like really convenient.
Yeah, I think the convenience is the big part of it. Although it doesn't break the the rules of storytelling. The Pixar stories of storytelling that I was talking about last time we streamed, because you're allowed to have conveniences that get your characters into trouble. Just never conveniences that get themselves out.
This is true. So I mean, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, no, I get where you're coming from.
It was a, and like I said, it wasn't like episode breaking. It was something that really bugged me, and I can't quite put my finger on why.
Yeah, and I mean, I found it went really fast. I mean, all things considered, it was like a quick episode to watch, so it wasn't like, even though it felt a little slow, it didn't drag out or anything. I was like, oh, is that over already? Wow, okay. So it wasn't like it dragged out or anything. It just really felt like, oh, this is like a bit of a break and a setup before like we're going through till the end.
Because unlike other Treks, Prodigy does air on television. So for some reason, like we've spoken about this, but Strange New Worlds, Discovery, and Picard and Lower Decks air in Canada on television, but only Canada.
Yeah, I don't.
We're the only country in the world that gets them broadcast on television.
I think because there's a lot of Canadians that really love Star Trek.
Also, I just think space just throws money at Paramount.
I don't even know. I guess it's just CTV at this point just throws money at Paramount. Yeah.
Space is owned by CTV, and CTV is owned by.
Well, it's not even Space anymore. It's CTV Sci-Fi or something like that.
Oh, they changed the name?
Oh yeah, they did a long time ago. All of the CTV channels are just branded CTV, like whatever.
Okay.
CTV Sci-Fi, CTV like something. I don't know.
But either way, like CTV, who owns the Sci-Fi channel, which publishes or which airs Star Trek, New Trek, seems to have some sort of deal with Paramount to get all of Star Trek on air. We've talked about this way back at the beginning of our show, like way back in the beginning, because it was such an unusual thing.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it was a like long time deal that was signed or something. Yeah, like I don't know. Who knows?
And like Star Trek everywhere else, but Canada has been moved on Paramount Plus, and you can get Star Trek on Paramount Plus. It also airs on Crave.
Yep, you can get it on Crave, and you can also just record it, which we do too. We have it on PVR because like it airs on Crave. Actually, some of them air on Crave like the same day, and some of them come out a day after.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like Lower Decks is the same day, but Picard's the next day. I don't understand why, but either way, like we get it streaming right away on a non Paramount network, and we're the only country that gets that now. Everywhere else just has it on Paramount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some countries still have on Netflix because they don't have Paramount, but
Yeah. Yeah. And the movies are not on it's all weird. Rights are such a strange thing.
no one has the movies. No one has the movies.
The rights are such a strange thing. I don't even understand it.
But
Yeah,
like,
like I don't know.
but yeah, it's Canada has a weird relationship with Star Trek that like in a legal sense, where like we are the exception to a bunch of policies that no other country has, and I don't understand why. I'm happy for it. I don't want to pay for Paramount Plus on top of Crave. But I don't understand why.
No, I don't either. So quickly, was that Kazon that took all of them?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's basically the Kazon that have a relationship with the diviner.
Yeah.
And we've talked about them being slavers before. Like
yeah,
that's pretty
them having been a slave race to being slavers, I think is bad and dumb, and I don't like it.
Yeah, no, you've talked about that too. You've talked about that too. I mean, I understand that people going, well, it happens, you know, but those are more complicated kind of situations than like just, you know, oh well, slavery to slave.
If they had a Kazon character to speak to it with like depth and nuance.
Oh well, those Kazon were different than us Kazon. Like they're just those guys were peasants and we're royalty Kazon. Okay, you know that would be a whole different thing, right? You
or
know,
like if they talk about like if they talk about in an economic sense as being like, listen, we are a slave race. Slavery is bad, but we do this or we go back into slavery. Like
yeah, we needed to make money. Yeah, exactly.
There are I don't think it's a plot that you can't do. But they don't seem to have put the thought into doing it.
Yeah,
and so like I would love to see them put a young Kazon character. I also don't like how Voyager handled I don't like the Kazon. I don't like how they're handled in Voyager either. Like I complain about Chakotay most, but I also really dislike how Voyager handles the Kazon. I would love to see like a young adult Kazon who can speak to Kazon culture join the crew of the Prodigy.
That would be interesting, yeah. I mean, it would be difficult for them, but I mean, it's not like that's not something they didn't deal with in Prodigy, you know? I mean, Prodigy. Discovery. They had that going on. They had the Orion and the Jem'Hadar, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was pretty cool. I like that.
So like I think Gwyn. I think I would like to see a girl Kazon just to give Gwyn someone to talk to more. Gwyn doesn't have any girls other than Roktuk, who's much younger than her. Am I still on? Oh, weird. I don't know why my camera cut out.
Oh, weird. Oh. Oh, just lost screen. All the devices. We'll see what happens there. If we get them back or not. We might not. I'll give it a minute and see if we get them back. Definitely they're trying to get back on at the moment. We'll see if it works. But yeah, I think that would definitely be interesting. Gwyn doesn't have a lot of people to talk to, unfortunately. They're just going to reboot the computer and see if that works. We will take a break for a minute, and we'll be right back. And hopefully we'll be back with everybody to wrap up the show. One moment. Hey,
Hey, sorry. I just rebooted my computer and I don't know what happened there.
thanks
It
for hanging in
wasn't
there.
because it wasn't a connection issue because I could still see you. So I
Uh,
was still watching you talk. So my internet was fine. But
really
for some
super
reason,
weird.
like
Super weird.
yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I will have to send you this interview. TrekCore actually has a two-part interview with Aaron J. Waltke, our friend of the show. Can we actually say friend of the show now? That stopped in last stream.
We should have invited him on. Honestly, we should be like, hey, you got a webcam? Come on.
No, anytime if Aaron wants to come on,
Listen,
more than welcome.
he does follow me on Twitter, so I suspect he'll probably pop in again. I think we can call him friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Aaron, you're welcome on anytime to come and talk about it after the finale, maybe. If you want to come talk about the season, we'd be happy to have you.
Maybe I should DM him about that.
Yeah, totally. Do it. I would love to do that. Anyways, there's a great interview on TrekCore about them, about with him about the Janeway logs he's been writing about Dal's transformation, a bunch of other things. And one of the little things that he's been handing out in the Janeway logs is that B'Elanna Torres may have designed the Dauntless, which is super cool. I always liked B'Elanna. I mean, she's kind of inconsistent at times as a character, but you know, I really wanted to like.
I really like B'Elanna Torres, the character. I think she is extreme. This goes into like me just not liking Voyager.
Yeah, I know. I also thought she did a good job despite being the like, ooh, spicy Latino hot Klingon blood kind
like
of like
weird,
the
weird like eugenics episode she gets, like where she gets taken by the species that is sick. They have like they're like diseased, and they take forget like there's like a weird episode where they take her and they make her like more Klingon because Klingon DNA is more useful for their like experiments because the redundant organs, and it's just
does she wear the boob window
it's just outfit? Not good.
Do they make her wear the boob window outfit?
No, I like she still wears her Starfleet uniform in it.
Okay,
but it's but she like it becomes very like bioessentialist and like it's just not it's problematic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty typical with women in Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, especially
you know, yeah,
it's especially of its time.
Yeah, that's what I was meant. Oh, I forgot about Molly. They mentioned Molly in they asked hologram Janeway about her origin story.
And I knew this was a reference to something, but I didn't know to what.
It's her dog.
That was my assumption.
It's her dog. I thought it might be a kid for a second, but Gary's like, no, she sent the runt of litter. No, it is in fact, I forgot her Irish setter. She has a picture of Molly and Mark, her fiance, on her desk in the ready room. I looked it up. Molly had puppies while she was gone. And they got along with Mark's new kitten. You know, like
I remember because I did watch the what a Voyager I have watched. I actually watched relatively recently, and I definitely did remember. Her having the photos of her dog on her desk.
Well,
so I did kind of suspect it might have been the dog, but I wasn't sure.
I just thought Rock would have loved stories about the dog and the puppies and the kitten. Rock would be like, "Oh my god, you had a dog? I want to meet an Earth dog. Your Earth dog had puppies? I bet they were so fluffy. The puppies got along with a kitten. Was the kitten fluffy too? Can I see pictures? What were the kittens like? What color were they?" Like
they have a hologram emitter on the bridge. They could just have a dog in the bridge.
Yeah, I know. They'll be like, show us a hologram of your dog. Rock will be like, I want to play with your dog all the time. Show me the puppies again, hologram Janeway.
Oh no, what they need is a Torg. They need like a pet Torg on the bridge.
Oh man, that'd be funny. Torg are fun. They're so ugly. They're like bulldogs. They're ugly cute.
Did you just call Pity's oh no, bulldogs, not Pity's. Yeah, bulldogs are
No, pit bulls. Oh, apparently, thank you, Trek Court. The ship that made first contact with Solum was a Prometheus class. I don't know what that means, but it's interesting. It has the 4 nacelles. So, I'm not sure when that's from.
The Stargazer had 4 nacelles as well.
Yeah, and Chakotay's first officer is a bird.
I caught that.
Yeah. What bird? They say possibly an Aurelian, and I'm like, is it an Aurelian?
I'm pretty sure.
Or is it Peanut Hampers X?
No, I'm pretty sure it's an Aurelian.
Yeah, it could be Peanut Hampers ex-boyfriend.
Where do Prodigy? I'm pretty sure you know. Where do Prodigy and Lower Decks exist on the timeline in relation to each other?
Lower Decks is before Prodigy.
Okay.
So Peanut Hamper's ex-boyfriend could have joined Starfleet and Peanut Hamper's ex-boyfriend would be a first officer to Chakotay in no time. And Chakotay would totally make that guy oh, wait, there's an avatar like bird species where he went from, a primitive, like formerly spacefaring species, then primitive, and then again spacefaring, and he is somewhat like my mystical native background. Come become my first officer, Birdman.
Whatever, because I haven't seen this far in the Voyager. Whatever happened to that dinosaur race, the one that were hyper evolved dinosaurs? I think they were Parasolophyli. Whatever happened to them? Can they join Starfleet?
Let me ask Gary. Gary, what happened to the dinosaur race in Voyager? Highly evolved dinosaur race.
Oh, I'm drawing a blank.
He's drawing a blank. We'll have to look that one up.
I know that it's in the later seasons of Star Trek or a Voyager. I've never seen it, but I know that there's they encounter hyper evolved Parasolophyli.
It says season 3, episode 23.
Distant Origin is the episode.
Yeah. I searched Voyager dinosaurs. Voyager dinosaurs, and it popped up.
I was right. It is Parasolophyli. I even have the species right. I've never seen this episode though. I'm judging from where it is. I'm not that far off.
The Voths discern. Yeah, they're the Voths. They descended from Parasolophyli. Okay, sure. How did they start spacefaring? No one knows.
And how did they end up in the Gamma Quadrant? Meh.
They were like, is that a comet? Quick, let's make a spaceship. Let's get the hell out of here. The other dinosaurs are like, murr, murr, let's eat each other. These guys were building a spaceship. They were on it. That's the only thing I can figure out.
You can play one in Star Trek Online.
There was one species of dinosaur that was building a fucking rocket while the other dinosaurs were running around screaming and eating each other. You won't learn that in Jurassic Park. Only on this stream. Oh my lord.
I do got to get back to watching Voyager and finishing my rewatch of it. I'll not rewatch because I'm never watched in the first place. But I do gotta just cringe through the Chakotay episodes and finish watching Voyager.
How? No, I'm sorry. I need to watch this episode. I don't even understand how this makes any sense. How does this make sense? This is a Brandon Braga joint. Of course it is. How does it make sense? How would dinosaurs get off of Earth
and make it to the Delta Quadrant?
And make it to the Delta Quadrant to become highly evolved fucking spacefaring feats. What? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure this out. So basically, yeah, in they built a rocket. Or what they were sitting on what they were sitting on a volcano and it exploded and it just launched them into space. They were in the cave. And the cave protect sorry, I'm just really confused.
I just want to see more dinosaurs on Star Trek.
More dinosaurs. Well, you asked for cetacean ops and you got it, so you can just manifest that.
Yeah. Just give me.
Did someone pick up the dinosaurs? Maybe they were flying by and they're like, "Oh
Maybe.
shit! All those dinosaurs are gonna die. Look at that comet's coming. Let's beam a few up."
I've never seen it. I've never seen the episode. I've seen the clip of them like. At one point, they reconstruct like the race from Parasaurolophus to its current humanoid evolved race, and they do that morphing in the holodeck. And I've seen that scene in isolation, but I don't have the context for it.
There were like some Vulcans or Vulcan. I don't know if they're that old. Some spacefaring race is like, hey man, those dinosaurs are going to die. Let's give them a chance to achieve their full potential. Let's beam a few up. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just trying to really figure out,
Well, I'm now just googling it.
How?
I'm sure Memory Alpha has the answer.
How? No, I don't even think anyone has the answer. I think they were just like, hand wave it. It's fine. I've decided that Chakotay's first officer is Peanut Hamper's boyfriend. I'm going to look up his name. Anyway.
The species ultimately ended in the Delta Quadrant. They were claimed where they claimed domain, laid the foundations of what became the Great Voth culture, and forgot their origins. The recorded history and identity of the Voth began about 20 million years ago, at which point they already considered themselves a race indigenous to the Delta Quadrant. By 24th century, they had to face to believe millions of years of intelligent race evolved in a region of space. By that period, so this is just
doesn't say how they got there. Rada, that guy's Rada.
Earth has been according to human commander Chakotay, Earth has been devastated countless natural disasters over the course of its history. Asteroids, volcanoes, earthquakes, all evidence that you're of your. Oh, so this is him being like, y'all are extinct, dude.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the next. Okay, I'm just going to watch the episode.
Yeah, I think I will too.
It's pretty close to where I stopped watching, so I don't have that far to go.
Oh well.
Get one of these guys on Lower Decks, or on actually, I think Lower Decks is the right place for them.
Yeah. No. Anyway, I mean, it was good. It was good to see, just the background. I agree with you that some of the background could have come a bit earlier, just in terms of like, it wasn't. It didn't need. Well, just in the sense that it didn't need to, be hidden as much as the diviners' information.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, like, I really enjoyed the episode. It just it did kind of slow down the pace a little bit.
Yeah, it was just like I said. It's not that it was a bad episode. It's just that it's in a weird place for the show structurally.
It's not even. Yeah, it like I said, it was even like really quick, and I enjoyed it, and like I wasn't like bored or anything to it. It moved really fast. It just was like, I was like, huh.
It's kind of like watching a bunch of Looney Tunes shorts almost. Like, obviously, they're more serious, other than the Jake and Pog one. Yeah, they're more serious than Looney Tunes shorts, but it has that kind of same vibe.
Yeah, I guess I can get where you're. I mean, I get where you're coming from with that. Yeah, totally. I can see that. Okay, so there are still I don't know if it's 3 or 4 episodes. I guess technically 4, but really 3.
Right, because the last one is two are like a part 1 and part 2.
Oh wait, no, but they're on 2 separate days, so 4 episodes. So, Ghost in the Machine, Mind Walk, and Supernova Part 1 and 2 on the 22nd and 29th.
And it has been confirmed for a second season, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I imagine the second season will be them as cadets.
Yeah, I think so. I would imagine, like, I think they're definitely going to be fine with
Janeway.
Janeway at this point. I think you're totally right that they're going to be, having to rescue her at some point as well. So I think, I can see where it's going, but I mean, it surprised me a lot too, the show as it's gone along. I really think it has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's way better than I expected it to be overall. Like,
For sure.
It's a really good, decent,
Especially the
show.
second half. Especially the second half has been moving along so quickly.
A lot of people didn't like it at first because it felt very. Everyone said it felt Star Warsy. I thought it felt more Guardians of the Galaxy-y, but either way, but it's really coming to its own.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like there were parts that felt a little bit more or less like different kind of shows, but or movies or whatever. But I think that was mostly because like it had these different senses of things. I don't know, just visually or in terms of like different references, but I think it really has come into its own, and it's just so beautiful a lot of the time. Like
it's
really
so well animated.
Like just some of the like I said, the Medusan scene was so stunning. Like seeing all their different colors and how they're kind of unique in their own way and how they move around.
That means what studio is making it? What studio is animating it?
Let me just see. I've got the Wikipedia entry open here. Secret Hideout and Nickelodeon.
Okay, Secret Hideout's making it.
Secret Hideout and Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Secret Hideout. They don't usually Secret Hideout is Alex Kurtman's production company.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not an animation studio, unless because
they're doing animation now apparently.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
because that's Alex Kurtman. He owns Secret Hideout. That's like his thing.
Yeah. So I guess they're doing that. I don't know who's doing the animation specifically.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm curious about. Is they clearly interesting. I'm looking at their production. They do a lot of Star Trek, and they also did the Mummy reboot. It's the only film they have on their books. So, ooh, they don't really have much else other than Star Trek. I've never heard of any of the other shows. Instinct, no idea. Who's the animation studio specifically? I guess it's just Nickelodeon. Yeah, it's just Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon is just doing the. So it's Nickelodeon and CBC's iAnimation production. So Nickelodeon, obviously, I know this is top notch for Nickelodeon. They don't usually, mind you, like once again, they did Avatar, and so when they want to pull out the stops, they can. But I've never heard of CBS iAnimation Productions. I've never heard of this studio before.
They talk about someone specific through the animation section in Ben Hybon, who's a Swiss animation director. And he's heading up the animation, so you might want to look into that and see.
I just because I went to Sheridan, I have I wasn't in the animation stream, but it's given me like a good eye for like what studios do what.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think they hired on specific people and just to do it in-house sort of thing. So yeah, primarily it looks like that they sort of did that sort of thing, which is nice. I mean, I guess it's the way to build something that doesn't have a specific style. Like, I mean, you talk a lot, or we've talked a lot about how Lower Decks has a style that's very specific to like the Rick and Morty kind of
Yeah,
studio
well,
and how they do things.
part of that is so part of the reason why like Rick and Morty and Lower Decks look the way they do is it's the program they use for animation. They're not
Okay.
hand drawn. They use a specific they're not 3D rendered, but they are animated using like a computer.
Mhm.
So they're not hand drawn either. And like it just so happens that like that sort of stick figurey big eye, like it's just easy to animate that with that particular program.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, but like most studios kind of have a style. And
Yeah.
I suppose if you wanted to kind of build something from the ground up or not have a specific look to it, it might be easier. I mean, I don't think the way Lower Decks looks is an
Yeah.
issue at all.
Well, I mean, Titmouse also did do who Titmouse did who does Rick and Morty and Lower Decks. They also did like Venture Brothers, and Venture Brothers looks like neither of those.
Oh yeah, that's true, actually.
So
Yeah.
like but I think Venture Brothers is hand drawn.
Mhm.
So or at least was before it got canceled. Oh, I heard rumblings of Venture. Oh, they also do Big Mouth, and Big Mouth also has that style.
Okay.
So yeah, but like they can break from that style when they want. But it's a style that's easier on them for animation wise.
Mhm. So we'll be going straight up to almost the new year with Prodigy episodes, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, well then what's premiering after that? Do we know? Like, is there going to be a big gap of not Trek, or are we? Because I remember I was.
I don't think so. I think we're going maybe right into Picard.
Picard's the one they're promoting most of. Oh, Titmouse also animated Midnight Gospel. I fucking love Midnight Gospel.
Oh, I've heard that's really interesting. Yeah,
it's a podcast set animation, but it's just fantastic.
Yeah, we're going into Picard on February 16th, 2023.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. So going right into Picard, and then I imagine after Picard it'll be Discovery.
Yeah, I don't see Picard. Discovery just wrapped filming.
Speaking of Picard, before we went live, we were talking about like, do we have news?
Right.
So we don't know who yet, but we know that Picard is bringing back some DS9 characters.
Oh, okay.
The producer of it has said he is bringing DS9 characters on. I don't know if it's going to be permanent cast or probably just cameos, but I think we saw this before. Remember how there was like rumors of like they're doing a con show, like there was that rumor for a while, and that clearly turned out to just be they were casting for Strange New Worlds, and people just took it wrongly. And I also remember there was that rumor. This is what I figured would happen. There was also that rumor that they were doing a DS9 Picard style spinoff, and I kind of guessed at the time that that's probably not what they're doing, but they're probably going to incorporate DS9 into the already existent show, and it seems I was right there.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, they've been talking. There's been some talk about a Picard spin-off of some kind, actually, on and off. So, I mean, I can see that happening as well. Just not until Picard is done.
Yeah. Well, I like we'll see, because the show that is supposed to enter production after Picard, although it's been years, and so who the fuck knows, is Section 31.
Yeah.
But like that was announced before Michelle Yeoh's current renaissance. So it's very possible they can't afford her anymore. On the other hand,
I mean,
they can afford Jones, so
if she signed a contract, like,
yeah,
she may be kind of like stuck with that, whether she wants to do it or not. But I can also see her wanting to do it because she seems to really enjoy being with her. Like, I mean,
she's clearly having the time of her life playing the Emperor. Like, it's always, even the seasons of Discovery I don't like, the first two, are still worth watching just for her performance. She's having so much fun playing this character.
Well, I also like Lorca, but that's me. I mean, you know.
I think he does a good job playing the character. I don't necessarily.
I like Lorca. I don't know why. I just like the idea of there being like an evil captain running around.
I do too, and I don't even mind.
He was a good captain. That's the thing. I still argue he's one of the best captains. Like, he did a good job being a captain, even though he was evil. Like, I'm like, he was actually a good captain.
My issues with Discovery Season 1 have nothing to do with Lorca, and they have nothing to do with the plot twist around Lorca. I thought that plot twist was great. I just hate how it's revealed. I think the reveal on is terrible.
Yeah, well, there's problems with Discovery Season 1, but I think people always forget, and not you included, but a lot of people forget that it was the first one. So I mean, of course it was going to be bad. It was going to have issues, right?
I was going to bring this up earlier, but it really does seem that Star Trek is finally starting to break its first bad season rule, or its first season being bad rule. Like,
because it's had an opportunity to kind of like have so many shows out at the same time that they don't have to like all be, not everything has to be in there. Like, it doesn't have to be everything to everyone all the time, right?
Like, Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, and Lower Decks have all had excellent first seasons. So, like, I think they've broken that curse.
That would be great. I would love to see that.
Now, we'll see if Picard has a good third season or not. I'm apprehensive about it.
I am too, but you know what? It's probably just going to be so freaking nostalgic that no one is like, we're going to be like, wow, that was terrible after. But like at the time watching it, we're just going to be like, this is great. I don't even care. Just hook it in my veins. And then afterwards, we're going to be like, wow, that made no sense whatsoever.
I wonder if we're going to have the same reaction we've had with all of them, which is we're going to be like at the start, because we had this 1 and 2, we had the same reaction, which at the start, we're like, this is great. Where is this going?
Yeah. Oh. Well, the reaction I always have is while I watch it, I really enjoy it, and then afterwards, I'm like, "This made no sense. Like, what the fuck was going on? Nothing
fits together.
Nothing holds together." But I really had a fun time watching it. I guess, I guess it was fun to watch, but it makes no sense. I guess everybody's doing a really good job acting this stuff that is terrible.
The issue with Picard is the cast is giving it their all. Everyone, production,
it's beautiful. You're all doing a great job. This writing is terrible.
The scripts are so bad.
You're even listening to it, you're like, this is fine, and later on you're like, no, that made no sense, and those lines were awful. It was all awful. And really then why did Wesley just leave them there? Gary's still mad about that. Gary's going to be mad about that forever. He's just like, okay, well, fuck you guys. I'm not helping you.
Are they teasing Wesley showing up in season 3? Is that what they're doing?
Gary says, see you later, old man. Stay in the past. Whatever.
Does not hold together.
That was the worst.
Discovery. I mean, also like the first 2 seasons of Discovery were kind of rough. Discovery really doesn't catch its own until season 3. So like maybe Picard will have figured itself out for season 3, and season 3 will be really good.
Poor Ash. Ash was gone. By the time Ash is gone, it's like, oh, the show got better. I'm like, poor Ash.
Yeah, I dislike that you were right about Ash.
What?
Oh, that you absolutely called not only that they were going to get rid of him, but how they were going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And I just I don't like it. I mean, I guess I'm happy that character got a happy ending, but I'd rather.
It was gross, right? Yeah.
It's like here we have this interesting Latino character who's really like really like I like him as a character a lot. I love the holograms. Maybe the actor will stick around as a hologram.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you mean on Picard? Oh, not
yeah.
Ash. I was talking about Ash Tyler
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
no, but
I have entirely wrong character. I am
no, you mean
fired. And
yeah, no, we're
sorry,
talking
yeah.
about the other
Ash,
dude.
we are talking about entirely different characters. I know who you're talking about.
No, but I agree with what you're talking about with what's his face? Yeah.
Well, Ash is supposed to come back in Section 31 if that ever sees the light of day.
Yeah, no, but Picard, I know what you're talking. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. We are talking about why can't I find anyone? We're talking about Rios. Chris.
There we go. That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Chris Rios. No, I saw that coming, and I mean, I liked it and I didn't, but I mean, I got where they were going with it, but I just didn't like that. I was like,
I mean, we had this conversation. We had this conversation while we were watching it, which is that Picard has too many characters on it to also handle all these characters plus the original cast.
Yeah, they had to get rid of people.
Them pairing people back and getting rid of Rios and the Doctor. What's her name?
His girlfriend. Yeah, I mean, but they did. But getting rid of Rios does suck because he was really interesting and he was an interesting Latino character. He was a cool guy,
and like
with his holograms that were basically parts of his personality that he was compartmentalizing. Yeah,
I wonder if he'll still be, if the actor will still be around playing those holograms in less like story front role. But they already implied that
Seven hasn't erased them, has she?
I don't think so.
She kept them, didn't she? So if Seven kept them,
she kept them, but I think she consolidated them all into one personality.
I think she made them one. She made them into one guy. Yeah.
Like already, they're gonna have a hard time dealing with Elnor. I think Elnor's probably just gonna get written out too, like they did this season.
I didn't like that she consolidated them into one. They were all separate people,
and
I was kind of mad about that.
And they were all like, so there's on an ethical question.
I thought of all people, Seven should understand that she couldn't do that.
It's it's the opposite of like the Tuvix problem, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a body autonomy issue there because it's been well established in Star Trek that holograms are people with individual personalities.
Yep.
Like, and Seven should know that. She was on Voyager where this was discovered.
Even if they are a way of someone compartmentalizing parts of their personality and working through their problems, once you've made that a hologram, they are then people.
Yeah. So there's that. And also just like, it's just less interesting. It makes the show less interesting as well.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I liked all of them. They were very funny. I really enjoyed them, and he was also having a great time playing them. Oh my God, Santiago Cabrera was having like the best time.
But they did, like I said, they did need to get rid of him. Like they just need to get rid of characters. Like there's too many characters on the show. The show is already having a hard time balancing all of its characters.
Yeah.
Right. So like, and on top of that, they're bringing in 7 new characters.
Yep, at least.
So, and that's not assuming whoever they bring back for DS9 and how big a role they play.
Yeah, we're starting to lose your mic.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So,
is it back?
Yeah, it's back.
I opened up Discord for a second. Yeah. That's what it was. Discord was pulling my mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we'll see where Picard goes. I'm sure I'll love it for the nostalgia if nothing else, but I do worry we're gonna get the same problem in season 1 and 2 where you just kind of like think about it a bit and just like, wait, none of this holds up.
Yeah, it's possible. Well, at least there's sorry.
I was saying, in retrospect, I actually like season 1 more than season 2.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Which is saying something because season 1 was not great.
There's always there always becomes more of a problem with time travel involved.
Yeah, time travel fucks the stakes up.
Yeah, but
Star Trek and
thankfully,
time travel, I roll.
yeah. Thankfully, I was going to say there's less of a problem with things not holding together or making sense on the show on Prodigy. So, looking forward to getting the last kind of 4 episodes of the season. I think looking forward to those. That you are probably correct about, Janeway getting captured now that she's knocked out, and the kids having to save her. Do you see anything else? Maybe in the next few episodes.
I think next episode. So usually you do the lighthearted episode on episode 4 before you go into a heavier 3-part conclusion. This episode, so I expect next episode to maybe be a bit more comedic, but this episode being so slow might interfere with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know where they're going with any of it, other than like the broad, like there'll be a final confrontation, they'll save Janeway, and then season 2 will be them as cadets.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I'm hoping Okono shows up again, maybe to save the day at an opportune moment to kind of make up for
the Han Solo thing.
make up for being a jerk. Yeah. So that would be nice. Though generally, I'm just looking forward to seeing more of them, and seeing what happens with Doll being an augment and Murph maybe evolving more.
So what they're doing with Una in Strange New Worlds really affects Doll now.
100%, yeah. So that some of that might get held off. I just meant maybe Doll just having more abilities that aren't necessarily unlocked by the augment, but that he can just unlock now that he knows that he has what he is, and maybe looks for something different in himself now that he knows something is there. Yeah. And anyways, probably in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about the next 2 episodes and looking forward to the finale. Any plans for your stream next week? Still going on?
No, I don't know what we're doing.
The other stream where you talk about capitalism, why capitalism is bad.
Like our last episode, we actually went short because we just ended up talking about that list of like so there was a list of like leftist content creators that like the alt-right wants to deplatform. We just ended up talking about that, but
yeah,
I was not on it, but my co-host was.
Oh yeah.
But I have been on similar lists like it in the past, so.
It seems like mostly because it seems like it was cut and paste from certain people's follower lists, so that's why I ended up with a whole bunch of ADHD kind of. A
lot of natives on it. It's actually kind of surprising given how many natives were on it that I wasn't.
Just I think it depended which follower lists got cut and pasted. So it was probably just like certain people who managed not to follow you somehow.
Yeah. It's I mean, I can be a polarizing figure because I'm kind of a dick.
It could be that, or it could be they just didn't get around to following you yet. One of the two, right? Who knows? But like it was interesting because I was like, why are all these ADHD accounts on here? And then someone pointed out it's basically like a cut and paste of one of my follower list. That's why it has so many ADHD accounts on it.
My response was I wasn't on it. I'm bitter that I wasn't on it.
I wasn't on it either. Don't worry about it. But I don't have as many followers. So. I was on a Gamergate meme at one point, though.
I mean, I'm not going to say what I'm going to say on air. We'll talk about that after we close. I don't want Gamergate after me.
The old days. Oh well. Well, I mean, Twitter's still alive for now. Knock wood. We'll see how long that lasts. Anyways,
yeah, we should. I'm getting now that Twitter's dying. I'm getting big into Discord.
Oh Yeah, I have a Discord thing because a lot of the games like game studies, game conferences like
Yeah,
have Discord. So
I'm discovering like play by post games, and so I'm playing like in a play by post Chains and Lost game. And like it's a good format. I like it. It's a lot less. Like I said, I literally invited you to a play by post game like today.
Yeah. I'm considering it. It
Might be running.
Feels a little like mushing, so I have to seriously consider any text based role play because that was a big big part of my life.
I was also a big musher, so I get it. But for me, it's just like throwing myself back into it. But
No,
like it'll be low
when I
stakes.
say, just to be clear for viewers, big part of my life means huge addiction and time sink, 14 plus hours a day, text-based role playing. Gary going, what the hell are you doing? Are you still on? Coming home? Are you going to bed? You know, things like that.
Understood.
You know, extreme reduction sensitivity issues. You know, it's a lot. But it's not Pern, so it might be okay. Pern
well, it's going to be it's also going to be a closed game with just about 6 to 7 people.
Yeah, and again, it's not Pern. Pern is a thing for me. It's the dragons.
Probably.
You know?
Oh, so this is where you got so into Pern. Interesting.
It's I don't know why the dragons are a thing, but the dragons are a thing, and you get one gold dragon, and then you're like, if you don't get the gold dragon from then on, it's like it's a thing. It's
I must World of Darkness. So
I did some World of Darkness too. Dark metal, yeah, that was
New Bremen for me. So later mushes when they moved on the Java chats.
Oh no, I didn't do any of that. I did mostly the mushes, but I did the dreaming. I did a lot of places that were.
Yeah,
scary.
like anyways, like if there's gonna be a problem, obviously don't join. But it does look like
no. It's just I have to always think about it. Like, go okay, how much time will this take up, and will I get?
Yeah, my aim is to get people posting. Like, if people post once a week, I'm happy. Like, it's gonna be a pretty like the whole idea of this game is an accessible game for busy adults on the go.
Yeah, well, that sounds good, and that's much easier than getting kicked off of my game and killing my dragon because I went to Gen Con. Oh, it's a long story. Oh my goodness, Pern mushes drama, more drama than reality TV.
So far, Thirsty Sword Lesbians is winning the poll.
Viking, yeah, that's great.
Viking Death Squad coming in as the dark horse. I didn't expect Viking Death Squad to be in second place.
That's cool. My friend Jonea worked on Thirsty Sword Lesbians. So that's pretty cool. It's apparently a great game. A lot of people love it.
I have it right there. I have not read it. So I'm going to have to, if it wins, I'm going to have to actually sit down and read it.
Oh, for sure. All right. So 2 weeks, we will let you know the results of the poll of the Thirsty Sword Lesbians versus Viking Death Squad
poll. I'm pretty confident that Thirsty Sword Lesbians will win. Pretty confident.
Yeah, will be 2 more episodes into Prodigy. Perhaps we'll know what DS9 characters will be part of Picard by then. And we'll be 2 weeks closer to Christmas.
I'm going with, so my prediction for Picard and who the DS9 is we're going to get Bashir and Garak being married. That's my prediction.
I'm going with Kira because Nana Visitor has said she'd love to play her again.
And Nana Visitor has already done Lord X.
But not Odo, because I don't think Renee. Oh, he's gone too.
He's dead. Yeah, he passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. So he only got to do that voice, right? So,
I'm pretty sure the bit in Prodigy was a pre-recording.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. So, yeah. So they've only Kira. I'm guessing Bashir is not a bad one. I think
specifically we will see Garak and Bashir as husbands.
That would make a lot of people mad. I like that.
Pardon? I think it'll make a lot of people happy. I think more people ship them than not. like
There's a little from column A, a little from column B.
like Garak's main actor, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, has like said that his original performance, the first time he met Bashir in the first episode he premiered, his motive, because they didn't give him proper motivation. Like, you're just going to sit down and talk to this doctor. He's like, well, why am I talking to this doctor? And his motivation came up as, oh, I want to fuck him.
Yeah, they both talked about playing that,
So,
semi-romantically, like for sure.
yeah, like they're both into it. Like,
Mm.
so I think, and like even the DS9 writers have regretted, like, in What We Leave Behind, they talk about like how much they regretted not pulling the trigger on that plot line.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, yeah, I see why it didn't happen, but anyway, we will see if we hear about that, and we'll see where the next two shows go. So we'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right, cheers.
Have a good one. Thanks for watching, everybody. And
live wrong and expire as always.
Live wrong and expire as always, or live long and prosper. See you later, everybody. Have a good week.
Cheers.